And this morning we are joined with Monica Tranel. Now, Monica, you are running for House District 1 over in the western side of Montana. How are you doing?
Good morning, Jane. I'm doing great. I have put on almost 50,000 miles on my minivan. I've been in all 16 counties, both tribal nations, talked with folks up and down this district, and feeling really connected to the people of Montana. Super excited about the race and really looking forward to serving my home.
Well, let's get into the race. Let's talk about it a little bit. Now, this isn't your first time running up against incumbent Ryan Zinke.
This is a rematch.
Yep.
Yep.
So let us know, do you have a different tactic going into this race, a different approach? Tell me a little bit about that.
You know, it was a 3-point race. I had 115,000 people in western Montana say they wanted me to represent them in 22, and it was a close race. And so decided to come back and finish the job. And as I build the relationships and have gotten out and gotten to know people, I've gotten the trust, and that's a job that you have to do over time. It takes time. I've been out shaking hands, meeting people, and just telling people who I am. And so I think, you know, Montanans really want somebody from Montana representing us, and I'm that person.
Now, there's a lot of issues that we could discuss. We have a limited amount of time, so we'll get through as many as we can. First, I'd like to tackle the issue of drugs in Montana, whether it be methamphetamine. Fentanyl is such a huge crisis currently facing the Treasure State. Tell me a little bit about your stance currently on the southern border, the trafficking of drugs that are coming on the major interstates.
Yeah, so I've done ride-alongs with law enforcement. I've talked to county sheriffs, and with the issue that I've heard about the fentanyl is really the big one. And I have come out in favor of the border bill. I would have voted for that, and we need to keep our communities safe. And Ryan Zinke has just played politics, and that is not okay with Montana. But really, the issue that I hear is housing. So when I'm talking to law enforcement, I have talked to county sheriffs whose deputies are living in campers. So housing is the #1 issue up and down this district, and I have a housing plan, and I'm prepared to address that starting on day one. People are really being squeezed out. Our communities, our friends, my neighbors, my family, we're getting squeezed out, and it has to stop. And I'm here to stop it.
And tell me a little bit about how you would do that. You said day one, so walk me through that. What would that look like if you were elected?
So you can look at my housing plan. It's online at monicatranel.com. But the first thing that we have to do is assess the data, and so figure out what is it that we're actually facing. Why are there big houses sitting empty in some of the most desirable places to live? So in Bozeman, big houses sitting empty. Same thing in Missoula, same thing in Whitefish and Kalispell. So figuring out, why are we incentivizing people to own second, third, fourth homes here, and families can't afford to be here? So assessing that and making sure we have a good grasp on what's happening, and then holding bad actors accountable, like Ryan Zinke, who the address that he's registered to vote from is an Airbnb. You can go online right now and rent it. And so, you know, getting rid of the short-term rentals or making people pay the real cost that those have and the impact those have to our community, because they remove housing stock from the market, and people need to have a place to live that they can afford to live in. Yeah. And then the third part of it is affordability. So making sure that we're building enough houses that people have a place where they can live, and whether that's a $10,000 trailer or a $50,000 house that you can afford to pay down the mortgage on, we need to make those kinds of homes available for people in Montana.
Yeah, definitely a huge issue that people in Montana have been facing for a long time. One other issue that it's on a lot of ballots across the country right now, that's the issue of abortion. Montana is one of a handful of states. It'll be on the ballot for voters to decide. Tell us a little bit about your stance on that, and if elected to Congress, what direction, what way would you go?
There's an initiative on the ballot, but I think more importantly, it's really important to look at the candidates and where we stand on this issue. And I have always come out in favor of women should be able to make the decision about our bodies and whether or not we become parents. Families should be able to make that decision. And this is about privacy and freedom. This is about the ability to make the most personal, private decisions about your life without the government. And this is not something, you don't have to give up deeply held beliefs, but this is not the government's decision to make, and it is certainly not Ryan Zinke's. And Ryan Zinke's votes on this have been with the most extreme position. And I will always, always stand with you with the right to make this personal, private decision, that is one that you should always have the freedom to make.
Monica Tranel, pleasure to talk with you this morning. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Sure
Thank you.
appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, Matt's going to have a look at that forecast.